Hey, it's me, Vicky Marie, and what do you think of this screen? This is a beach nearby where I live. This is a photo I took earlier in the year, I think. So I'm just trying out some different backgrounds. I like the colour, the blue colour. Yeah. Anyway, so thank you, first of all. As always, thank you so much for watching, liking, subscribing, for being one of, if you're a member, if you've sent me a coffee, if you've bought me a super, etc. Thank you so much, because I appreciate every bit of support you give my channel. And I really do mean that. It means so much to me and you know, I enjoy doing it, don't get me wrong, but it means so much knowing that people actually enjoy watching it as well. Okay, now what I'm going to tell you about today, this is something that I saw on Facebook. This was somebody very kindly posted this article on one of the Nicola Bulley groups. And I'm so grateful, because I don't know that I would have seen this article otherwise anywhere. And I just think it's really interesting, and I think you will find it interesting too. If you, like me, are not 100% certain of what exactly happened to Nicola Bulley, you know, you have like those feelings, those reservations that we don't know that are true, just feelings that we have. That's all we can deal with in our day-to-day life. I found this article very, very interesting. Okay, so I'm going to read it out to you and show it you at the same time. So this is an article from QUT, the University for the Real World. Sounds interesting. I must have more of an investigation about that. Anyway, so I'm going to use some initials here, because you know what YouTube's like. So CC linked with red rum and detection avoidance. Gosh, you just don't know what words are going to pick up. And I want the thing is that when they limit my monetization, which they do most of the time, but it's not about the monetization, it's just they don't push it out to so many people then. And I want a lot of people to see this, because I want people to consider this. You know, and the more, you know, I've been interested in true crime for a long time, you know, and there's still a list as long as your arm of cases that I'd like to cover, they haven't covered yet. And this comes up over and over again, this subject of how sometimes the disposal of spouses or partners, male and female sometimes, you know, it's not necessarily only men getting rid of women, it can be the other way around too. So many times these things, these issues are planted before the deed itself is done. Issues, seeds are sown, you know, for planning up to it, etc. So, and even sometimes it's not even a plan. It's just like what people, in small ways, people see. I saw it with my ex when we split up. We split up according to him because I was mentally unstable. And what he meant by that was I must have been, because otherwise I would, why did I not want to be with him? You know, that these are the sort of things that people say. He said that to quite a few of my friends. Oh, well, you know, and in the end you start to question yourself and think, well, am I? You know, is it me? Is it me? So, you know, these are things that happen often. So now this is talking particularly about men, but I would say this works both ways. You know, I think seeds are sown in, but you know, it is different the way that men do red rum on their partners than women often, because women tend to do it in a different way, don't they? But it doesn't mean to say they never do it. And there's probably similar things that way, but this is specifically talking about men and women. So this was an article from the 25th of July, 2023, so very recent. So men who use CC in their relationship are more likely to kill their partner and extend their control to conceal her red rum as a self-deletion or an accident. Criminology study of controlling men who red rum female partners attempt to control the narrative surrounding her death, suggests self-deletion or accident. You know, now I've been struck again and again about the change in what a certain person was saying from the beginning of the Nicola Bulley case to the end in the inquest. So it went from the harness being a decoy, the harness and the phone being decoys, till at the end, oh, well, she always took the harness off, you know, which is clearly not true, because many pictures that show that, in fact, Willow had the harness on. So, you know, there is like photographic evidence of that. And this was never challenged. And again, I honestly, you know, people saying, oh, he's done. I am not saying that this person did anything to Nicola. I don't know. What I'm saying is there is something strange about the whole case, and there's enough to me to say it should have been an open verdict. It should have, but there is nothing to suggest. You know, people say, oh, well, in an inquest, it's balance of probabilities. Even on the balance of probabilities, how is it, you know, how far do you have to manipulate a scene before you can say that in this particular case you have to completely well, you have to make things up, really, to be honest, to come to that conclusion of accidental death, in my opinion. Anyway, so they often use the same controlling tactics used during her life over her death. And these are distinctive factors that are red flags for investigators. So criminologists Dr. Claire Ferguson and Dr. Freya McLachlan from the School of Justice investigated why and how so many intimate partner femicides offenders attempted to conceal the murder and avoid detection. Their findings give insight to investigators for combating perpetrators' head start, given their tendency to plan, foreshadow their innocence, and to prime witnesses beforehand. We conducted a collective case story to compare the control tactics used by offenders to capitalise on the victim's vulnerabilities during their relationships with the tactics surrounding concealed IPF. The picture that emerged was that IPF concealers are calculating, domineering, goal-directed and deliberate, expert coercive control offenders. We found IPF perpetrators appear to use concealment and the same types of control tactics they used in the relationship to dominate the narrative surrounding their partner's death, to control shared property and children, terrorize the victim's family, and remain unaccountable. Now, what was the first thing that person said when somebody phoned to say that they'd found the dog and the harness? Well, she's been struggling lately. That was the first thing that was said. If a woman tries to leave a controlling partner, killing her may become preferable to a separation, because when she has no voice, he can retell the story of their relationship and use the way she died as evidence of his version. For example, her supposed self-deletion is used to suggest she was troubled all along and made up complaints about him. In other words, IPF and concealment are part of a much broader controlling behaviour pattern. Dr. Ferguson said they looked at CC tactics in 5 case studies of IPF perpetrators who attempted concealment of the red rum by making it appear as an accident, self-deletion, or missing person. No. For example, taking just one form of CC, emotional abuse, an expert coercive controller works to belittle her, make her reliant on him, make her feel bad about herself, or think that she's crazy, she said. After her death, he exerts control over the narrative by continuing to undermine her in the same way, claiming the death was an accident or self-deletion and resulted from her being depressed, crazy, with wanting to self-delete, drunk, drugged, or clumsy. Gerard Baden-Clay attempted concealment by claiming his wife was depressed and had just walked out. In the relationship, he was found to have put Alison down, monitored whom she talked to, blamed her for his abusive behaviour and hidden their finances. Now, this case, this Gerard Baden-Clay is an Australian case, a very famous case. You may or may not have heard of it. He is related to Baden-Clay, who he was related. He's in prison now, but anyway, that's another case. It's on my long list of cases to cover. Post-homicide, he used the care of his children as an alibi, implied the death was her fault, denied previous abuse, portrayed himself as a devoted dad, but then also delayed her estate going to their children. Dr. Ferguson said the study shed new light on the links between IPF and detection avoidance by the perpetrator and the red flags for prevention or uncovering the concealment in the death investigation. One of the most notable findings is that perpetrators may leak signs of their plan. Signs of their plan for concealment. And this in many cases that I've seen on true crime channels, they've done this, threatened homicide, how they would conceal it, how they would dispose of the body and make it look like a self-deletion to avoid being held accountable. And these threats assist with controlling the woman in the relationship, but then they might actually be acted on later. Now, I'm not saying that any of this was ever said or done to Nicola. I don't know, but I'm just reading the article. Other behaviours, such as falsely reporting mental health issues or tendency to self-deletion to family and friends in the live victim, may also point to an offender's intentions. Okay, this was published in Feminist Criminal. Claire Ferguson. Interesting. I just found it extremely interesting, and I can see it in my relationship with my ex, and the way he talked about me, just because I didn't want to be with him anymore, that there must be something mentally wrong with me, when actually it was him that there was something mentally wrong with. And, you know, it's very interesting, and I can think of about 10 cases just off the top of my head where this was used, you know, to, in the sense of, you know, partners saying that someone had been depressed, they just walked out. You know, this gym thing always gets me, because that's so, I went to the gym and when I came back, she disappeared. I had no idea where she was, but she had been depressed lately. or I did think she was having an affair and seeing someone else. That's something else that's quite commonly used, isn't it? Well, to insinuate that they've gone off with somebody else when really they're buried in the garden, or dumped in a river somewhere or whatever. So I don't know about you. Let me know in comments if you find it interesting. And as I say, this is just for information purposes. I do not know that this is what that certain person did in Nicola's case. I don't know that. I'm not even saying that. One thing I will say to that person, if that person just randomly happens to be watching this, you would, if it's your partner, something like what happened to Nicola happened to my partner, man or woman. I mean, I would want to know. I wouldn't be against people asking these questions either, because I would understand that people want to, they care about Nicola and what happened to her. And I would understand that, and I would respect that, because it's not, you don't have to take it as a personal slight. What you have to take it as is that people don't feel, now, not saying necessarily it was anything to do with the partner, but there's something wrong in Nicola's case. It should have been an open verdict. There's something wrong. So that is what these anyone who continue, people can say what they want to me. I don't care. I know what I feel inside. To me, this case is not resolved. The inquest has not resolved this case. There's enough other things, not only to do with the partner, but to do with the man in black, the scream, that she was in that river for all that time without being found. The total implausibility of the verdict at the inquest. Ability, but everything else was a possibility as well. So it should, looking at other similar cases, they end up being open verdicts. So I just do not understand why this was not an open verdict. I will never understand it. I will never accept it. Whether it's ever going to change, I don't know. It might be one of those things that goes on and on forever and ever, but people will not be happy. You can't make people deny the evidence of their own ears and eyes, the way they feel. You can't, if you want to do that, Peter Blexley was right. If you want to stop people speculating, you have to make things clear, and that has not been done. So anyway, I hope you found the article interesting. I certainly did, and I'm grateful to that person that put it on the Facebook page, because I wouldn't have seen it otherwise. So food for thought. So remember to always live and love wisely, carefully. Look after you, because you are the most important person. And I'll see you again very, very soon. And until then, may your God go with you. Bye.